Thanks again. So it's my pleasure now to introduce Anirudh Koul, who's the head of AI and research at Aira, the visual interpreter for the blind, and an upcoming author of Practical Deep Learning for Cloud and Mobile. Previously at Microsoft AI and Research, he founded the Seeing AI app, often considered the de facto app in the blind community, the blind and the low vision community, with features shipped to 1 billion people over the last decade. He's been developing and building tools for communities with visual, hearing, and mobility impairments. So
you can hear me? Or maybe I didn't turn it on. Scientists are not good at engineering. Alrighty, so first of all, the good news, my visa didn't get rejected, so I'm here. Actually, that's a bluff. This is the only country where I cannot say that because I'm a citizen here. So I started my career here in this very city 12 years ago at Yahoo Labs. But after 4 years of living here, sadly, the only French phrase I learned was this beautiful expression, "Merci la vala plate, double pizza." Thank you for calling double pizza, press 2 for English. So I know you have been listening all this week to talks like how you can use big GANs to synthesize adversarial data to train capsule networks for real-time segmentation. But I think we won't go in that direction today. We'll go towards more of a story about humans and AI together, a story of celebrating what we have achieved so far together, and how hopefully you can get compelled to put your talent even more in the area of AI for social good and inspires others based on the people right now in this very room. So imagine you're stuck in a hurricane with debris all around, trees upended, live power lines dangling. You want to get to shelter, but you don't know where you will find help. You pace your way carefully through this dangerous and unstable landscape. Now imagine doing that blind. After Hurricane Maria devastated Puerto Rico, Dr. Jose, a blind professor, got lost. Fortunately, he was able to use his phone in a new, unexpected way. It became his trusted guide. Now, being blind, he definitely relies on audio. So let's see what the app told him another time. Let me try again. So hopefully we can figure it out, but I'll keep going. So it said a bridge over a body, or it said a rocky island in the middle of a dirt field. But dirt field, when the person tried it previously here, it said a bridge over a body of water. The bridge had flown away in the hurricane, and thank goodness he didn't try to cross that.
A rocky island in the middle of a dirt field.
So thank goodness he didn't try to cross that. Now, armed with the phone in one hand and cane in another, he was able to avoid other hazards like fallen trees and, yes, fallen power lines. Eventually, Dr. Jose came to safety, and this little app on his phone became his new trusted friend. You see, the world is full of gaps. Some gaps are small and temporary, others lasting and profound, but we all experience them. For the blind, these gaps are never-ending. How do you find the entrance to a building? How do you trust the money that the cashier gave you? Or how do you read your daughter's homework? We call people with these gaps disabled, and I believe that's wrong. Disability is merely the mismatch between a person and the environment they are in. Armed with the right tools, people are limitless, and the challenge here is coming up with the tools and technology built for their ability to get the job done. Jack Chen biked 3,000 miles at Race Across America, the world's toughest bike race. Eric Manser broke world record at Ironman triathlon, 140 miles. and Eric Weinheimer climbed Mount Everest. And Mark Rigobono drove a freaking car at the Daytona International Speedway. And you guessed it right, all of them are blind. They were passionate, they were determined, they put in the hard work, and more importantly, they had the tools fitting their ability to get the job done. In this case, Mark Rigobono was driving a car with a LiDAR sensor, and based on the obstacles detected, his fingers were vibrating with a glove, so he could know how to steer the car. And developing for people with disabilities can have a much bigger, profound meaning for all of us because it accelerates innovation. Pellegro Thury in 1808 was trying to get his lover to write legible letters because she was blind and ended up inventing the typewriter. In 1872, Alexander Graham Bell, I think you guessed it, was trying to make hearing devices for his wife and mother, who were both deaf, and ended up inventing the telephone. Back in the 1930s, the Royal National Institute for the Blind was recording 45-minute gramophone records for the blind, and eventually you call them audible.com today. Finally, this ingenious mechanical engineer, Ralph Titor, you should be thanking him every day, because when you sit in the car, you can thank him for the cruise control. Because he was blind, he was particularly susceptible to motion sickness. So he invented a device to keep your car on the road at the same speed. Finally, Vincent Cerf was trying to find a better way to communicate to his deaf wife. Calling on the phone wasn't the best deal. So he ended up inventing the email. I can keep going on. Ray Kurzweil was sitting in an airplane next to a blind gentleman, and he said, "What do you want in life?" And the person said, "All I want is a way to read books." So he went back to the garage and invented this $30,000 washing machine sized machine, which is called a reading device. And that helped invent the OCR, the flatbed scanner, the photocopier, text-to-speech, and you all use this stuff today. And that's the point. Accessibility accelerates mainstream innovation for all of us. And this innovation, these tools and technologies can help fill the gap between our needs and our ability and our tasks to make us more efficient, to give us superpowers. For the blind, technology is not a convenience, it is a necessity. 294 million people around the world are blind or low vision. That's almost the population of the United States. In this community, 60% of students who enter college will not graduate, 60%. 70% of working age adults remain unemployed. And this is an unacceptable reality. It's not the failing of their ability, no. It's a failing of technology. And I happen to witness this failing in my own personal life. My grandfather, with age, it became evident that he was starting to lose his vision and sight. He was a lifelong educator, a profound author, an avid reader, and he was having a hard time reading books. And one day over a Skype call, he could not recognize my face anymore. And that was heartbreaking. So I started looking out for solutions that could help him, and was shocked to see the state of technology. I mean, we live in a day and age of self-driving cars, but tools for the blind were like decades old. So when you can't find a solution, you do the next best thing. You go build it. So I got started, met a group of like-minded folks at Microsoft, and we started to look at the area of artificial intelligence for the blind community. We had some superstars on the team, from Mary Bellard from American Foundation for the Blind, Ann Taylor from National Federation of the Blind, and a familiar face which many of you might know, Margaret Mitchell, who since 2010 was working on the area of vision and language and describing images. So by having some superstars on the team, we started to build our first prototype at this hackathon, which was a talking cell phone duct taped to the head, MacGyver style. I mean, people don't give us credit for being geeks because we are not fashion forward. So you could talk to it, ask questions about your visual surroundings, and get answers about it. Once the hackathon finished, we kept working garage style in evenings and weekends to see how far we can take it. And this evolved into a smart glass prototype. You press a button, it takes a photograph, and then a few seconds later, you hear a description of the world. Now, another thing that we learned was that when you are building something, you want to create your own Justice League, comprising of people from your target audience, and in this case, people with disabilities. So they are the accessibility experts, the designers, the researchers, the engineers, because they know about the area. And so having Saqib on our team as our tech lead helped a lot. So with this getting a lot of interest, we started asking ourselves, how do we get it in the hands of as many people as possible? And the answer was simple, a free smartphone app. So we got official blessings at Microsoft Research, worked for a year, and released Seeing AI, the talking camera app for the blind community. Talking camera, it speaks what it sees. It's using artificial intelligence running live on the device to process and describe the world around you. It's like a Swiss Army knife. It's small, it's nimble, and has plenty of uses. You can already see how excited I'm just talking about it. But if you couldn't, this app could help.
One face near center 5 feet away. Eugene near center 5 feet away. Process, 37-year-old male with a mustache wearing glasses looking happy.
Indeed happy. So we actually have a salesman who uses this to change his sales pitch and make small talk based on what the app is telling him, because he's hearing things, discreetly through a bone conducting headset. So the app is telling you not just, where the person is, to the left, to the right, how far the person is standing next to you, and go in more details about their appearance. I learned the hard way that when my wife got angry, I used to take a quick photograph to show to her what the app tells about her. I learned never to do that again. So now the app can do more, like real-time face recognition. For privacy reasons, we are running the neural net live on device like a Siamese network. So you take 3 photographs, and now next time the face comes in front of you, it announces their name. A professor photographed her entire classroom, put the phone on a tripod, pointing it towards her door. And now students cannot sneak in late to the class anymore. It announces their name, busted. Now we also realized that our creative users, as the name implies, are creative. They figured out a use for face recognition. There's a guy named Mr. Lincoln who appears in the center of a $5 bill. And if you train his face, you can recognize currency notes. So he got the hint, and so we built the real thing.
$5 US, $10 US.
Works even with occlusions and really fast. The blind jazz musician Ray Charles always insisted on being paid in $1 bills so that he was sure he was not being cheated on. Now for the sighted, exchanging money is exchanging numbers, but for the blind, it's exchanging trust. But with this app, Ray Charles would not have to worry no more. Now, the app can do more. So if you can recognize faces, maybe you can recognize the body, the things around it, and give a better description, like in this example.
Processing. A man jumping in the air doing a trick on a skateboard.
It's giving complex descriptions to scenes in a rich way. You can recognize that this is the work coming out of the COCO data set and all the work on the image capturing challenge, MS COCO challenge back then. Now, it's obviously does make mistakes. It's like a 3-year-old. It's young, it's learning, and the more of the world it sees, the better it gets. And hopefully someday we can describe videos running in real time. Now we realized something very interesting when we launched the app. Blind users started posting photographs on Facebook that they took themselves. Yeah, hashtag blind photography just got real. And the reason is because the app is guiding the person even knowing how to take the photograph. So when you meet a friend, say at a social occasion, you know that the friend is in the center, not too far away. And when you take the photo and realize they're not smiling, you scold them and then retake the photograph. I mean, after all, who doesn't want smiling photos on Facebook? Now, to many of us, taking photos and social sharing is something we take for granted. But now the blind community can also experience that just like anyone. Now that can do more, like read text, but in real time.
130.
And real time is beautiful because if you don't know where the information is to begin with, you can scan, say, a hotel and learn the hotel room number, the exit sign, or the temperature on your thermostat. The live feedback is the key thing here to make you successful. People were amazed. They never knew how much text was around them. Many people started to sit in the back of cabs, pointing the phone outside to learn new stores that have opened in their neighborhood.
The Alameda. Chipotle Mexican Grill. Office. FedEx office.
One user put the phone on a tripod, pointing it towards his television, and started watching Korean movies.
Someone's coming. I'll look into it and text you, baby.
Now, not all information is printed, right? Something is handwritten. So we tried solving that. Now, being geeks, we forgot our timetable. So we released it in December. December means Christmas. Christmas means greeting card time. And suddenly Twitter went ablaze with people talking about them reading a greeting card for the first time in life. Someone reading a love letter that they had received before going blind. And someone reading their daughter's homework for the first time. And for the first time scolding them because they realized the homework isn't done. Tears of joy became tears of pain. Now, one of the design learnings that we got from it was how to make people successful. So as an example, people said, hey, could you help recognize a product like this Coke can? We said, that's easy. You simply put a barcode reader, slap it inside the app, and job done, and you feel good about yourself. Till you realize it's garbage. Because if you cannot see where the barcode is, how will you scan it? And even if you know where the barcode is, you have to line it up correctly. Like any of you has been to a self-checkout counter in the grocery store knows how frustrating it can be. So we trained CNN to recognize the location of the barcode very robustly and attach beeping sounds. So the bigger the area, the more it beeps. And then you get an experience something like this.
Process Coca-Cola 6CT.
So recognize without even looking. Now to do that before, you couldn't do it on cell phones. You had to buy a laser barcode scanner, the kind you see in Walmart. And now, that's like $1,300. A charity raised $2.5 million to give these devices away. And now with AI, you can get that done for free. How cool is that? Now, obviously, you know, AI needs images, thousands and thousands of images, dirty images. So we asked our volunteers, can you get us images that are dirty? Not the internet kind of dirty, I mean robust to bad lighting, bizarre framing, bad angles. But people kept sending us images of, say, currency, which were like printed fresh off a US mint. So we took the worst image every day and sent it out to our volunteers saying, can you do worse than this? People said, we accept the challenge. And suddenly things became way more robust with such amazing creative images people take. I never realized, but a $20 note actually has 20, 20, 20, 20 numerals written all over it. It's hard to see, but the neural network started to figure out and it started to become more robust. But then we came across another problem. This is a hit in US, but what do you do about other countries, right? So it's not a scalable operation. So you start to, well, you start to synthesize images. You know, you take images, you segment them, you start to rotate them in the 3D world, and then to generate new images, I took all my honeymoon photographs, put them in the background, then you place them randomly, put some parameters on it of the percentage area visible, and finally, you do real-time augmentation, so you get infinite images, right? And this worked very nicely. But we noticed some issues when we put it in, we were about to go to production. Like just a quick guess, think in your mind, what is this currency? Just think for a second. It is a 50 euro, not a 5. And you can see that when you get really up close, it can get a little bit dicey. Our users, because they might not have depth perception, they have never used a camera before, don't know how far to keep something to get success. So often they would keep the phone so up close that you would get blurry, dark, or maybe really up close images which could be dicey. So during training, we introduced not just the classes that we are trying to recognize, but the classes we want to shut our mouth and stay silent, like on, for example, negative classes. Either it's not a currency, or maybe it's a real close-up. So when you put this in production, eventually, this is what happened. People would keep the phone really up close, and realize the phone is not speaking. They say there's something wrong with it. So then they would start to actually bring the phone back, and when it's about 6 inches away, it would then instantly say it's a $5 currency note. And this became muscle memory. And now people don't actually have to do all this. They just bring the phone and just bring it 6 inches away and know how to use it, getting success in the first instant. So that's AI used for HCI to change your habits. And obviously, you want to test it on real-world images, bad, hard images, if you're trying to build something. Now, now obviously, in life, you want a lot, but that's not what you can afford. And similarly, in machine learning, the budget you have of running the floating point operations on your device is limited. So when you build something for production, we are trying to build something in 2006. You need to support people who are 3 years older on their models. That's 2013. And as you can see, back then, ResNet 50 was available, and that would have taken over half a second. Now, if you want to be real time, you want to get things running less, 10 frames per second or more. So we built our own highly optimized networks running, on bare metal to run fast enough. Well, lucky for you, you live in 2018 and well, almost 2019. The iPhone 10 was more powerful than a MacBook Pro. So you can imagine today's iPhone is about 5x faster than last year's phone. So you don't have to worry on that. There are frameworks to get you well done. Now, during this journey, this was complete AI. But I started hearing about another technology called Aira. And the question here was like, what is this special about it? It's basically connecting a blind person with a human remote agent, a highly trained agent. So by wearing smart glasses, which are transmitting a video feed at 80 milliseconds and transmitting to a human agent, using the human power, you can do more. Do more things like running the Boston Marathon, going to a funeral and knowing where the tombstone is, trying to go through your homework, a blind journalist who takes photographs and publishes it in magazines themselves. We had the case of a game between an agent and the user's dog to try to get to the chocolate first, because you don't want the dog to eat the chocolate there. And with a lot of these examples, the question comes is, where does the AI come into play here? Well, humans can, AI alone cannot achieve a lot of tasks. It is really young and nimble right now, whereas humans can do amazing. But maybe if we can bridge the gap where some of the low-hanging fruits can be done by humans, and the AI will learn from them like a human-in-a-loop approach. So we make our agents play games in their free time to train the AI so they become part of the game to see how much they can build it. And they actually participate and challenge each other. As a quick example, one of our product managers, who's blind himself, was in a hotel room trying to find a shoe, which got lost. And with the help of an agent, they were basically scanning the room to find, OK, where's the shoe? And voila, it was actually behind the curtain. But could we maybe automate this to basically remember where objects are in your world? So basically, based on this video, we can create a 3D world and remember objects in this world. And think about it for a second. If you can scale this up to an airport, you could take a person from the entrance all the way to the baggage counter. Maybe they say, I'm thirsty, and tell them where the water cooler is. So that's the kind of problems we are working on, to recognize, place objects in the 3D world and navigate them. That's one example. Another example is when our agents talk, there's a whole world of conversations, from taking cabs to eating breakfast to navigating the hotel, or how do I dress in the morning. And if I can understand that if a call is about Denver Broncos, we need to connect with an agent who understands American football. Whereas if you're talking about makeup, maybe it's someone who is better suited on the makeup side. That's the kind of connections we are making, and much more. By the way, this was recently featured as one of the best inventions in Time magazine. And to give a good example of the value, we gave 100 subscriptions to students. In this community, 60% of students do not graduate. But after a year, we noticed only 6 students did not proceed to the next class or drop out. And that's the power of what you can get when you have amazing technology with you. Now, as I end, just to motivate you, If you learned anything from my presentation, it probably should be AI for social good is cool because you can come in magazines. Or maybe you can become famous because you'll invent something. If you want to challenge yourself and help me, go work on the WizBig data set, the WizBig challenge, which contains images from blind users, and you're trying to answer that. Or maybe you want to just get rich with the help of some of the amazing grants from Google, Microsoft, Partnership of AI, and XPRIZE, which you'll hear later today. 115 million pool from Microsoft, and XPRIZE, I hear, is about $120 million of total funding combined. So during this journey of working from automated AI to using humans to assist, I saw a number of incredible real-life stories of people writing to us, and that was really interesting. Shortly after releasing the Seeing AI app, my grandfather passed away. While he was not able to use the app himself, the work inspired by him is helping people around the world in filling millions of gaps daily. And with each success, people generate immense confidence, going from, can I do this, to what else can I do? Technology is the great equalizer. It can help level the playing field for everyone, filling one gap at a time. Thank you. By the way, one passing comment, one thing we realized is converting research to production is 10x more effort because you need to get it to work in real world. So if you want to do research, contact me. Maybe we can actually get it in the hands of blind users around the world. Thank you.
Thank you for a great talk. So many good points to pick up, but I'm gonna just pick one. So I think you alluded to IoT towards the end, and I think all the instances that you have mentioned is kind of a single point of observations. But really, we as humans have so many different senses, right? So what are your thoughts in kind of combining all those things together? And I think especially for a person who has lost a specific sense, other senses can be, utilized like Daredevil.
That's actually true. So there's a concept of neuroplasticity that you can actually train yourself to use other senses. So there are people who actually make a ticking sound like, and with the echo, they're able to walk on their own. There's a gentleman who could play baseball. There's a person who can actually bicycle just based on this thing because people can train. What we found is, as we work towards the blind audience and understand their needs, using audio in different ways without even speaking, without even speaking helped. So instead of actually saying information in spoken word, which is just raw amount of information, making audio tones, which you can intuitively guess, was able to get the job done so much more quicker and so much more real time. So that was a cool thing. Thanks.
So I wonder if the energy consumption on phones is a big obstacle.
That was a great question when we started. And we started noticing that you can do things. For example, you might not want to, say if you're running a neural network on the phone, you want to run it for 30 seconds to just see if there's any point of success so far. If not, you shut it off so that you don't burn the energy out. Also, I should probably have shown it. If you run a neural network, just based on a default program like TensorFlow Lite or CoreML, it will run through every frame. And you will get like 41% energy utilization. If you bring it down to 1 frame per second, you'll burn only 5% energy in that case. So you can do tips and tricks to help reduce that. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks again. Great. Thanks again for a wonderful talk. So we'll get set up now.